What's up, guys? Welcome to the 11th Legion podcast. A bit of a reduced crew today. We've just got myself, Dan, and Captain Bradders.
And that's all you need.
That's all you need. All anybody wants, really.
Pretty much.
Amount of feedback we've got saying sack off Johnny and Robin's been insane. So we've had a big preview. Was it? I lose track of time. Was it last weekend or the weekend before?
A couple of weeks ago now. It's when they did the grand narrative finale.
The grand narrative finale?
Yeah, there's an event that they did in... I can't remember where it was now. It was somewhere in America that was supremely difficult to get to from the UK. It was like 3 connecting flights or something, because I did look at it. But yeah, it was like a big narrative tournament event. So I think like everyone got split into like different factions, and they were kind of given like story briefs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It sounded mega.
That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, just supremely difficult to get to. Yeah.
That would have been a brave move for you going away this time of year, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
So close to major events going on in your life as well.
Yeah.
I presume you were looking before asking for permission.
Yes, of course. Just out of curiosity.
It's just like hypothetical all at this stage. Although, is it always held in the same place every year, do you know?
It's the first time they've done it.
Because if it's held somewhere different this time next year...
Then that might
Then we'll be able to get a little something going on. Because obviously we were going to go to to anyone listening, we were going to go to the Las Vegas Open in January, but through a series of unfortunate events some unfortunate and some fortunate.
Yeah.
Virgin cancelling my flights was unfortunate.
That was unfortunate.
I'm not sure if Robin has yet received a refund for his flights. He's being absolutely trolled by the flight company that he used, or the third party used.
Yeah.
It means that we can't go to the Las Vegas Open, so that's a bit of a killer, because we went and bought travel-sized magnetic cases so we could get our armies in them. You were going to run Knights, I was going to run Custody, so I know that everything would fit in that travel case. We were going to carry it as carry-on onto the plane, so we've not got to worry about some youth filling the plane, drop-kicking it across the airport because he's having a bad day.
Yeah.
But what that does mean is, because we already got permission to Las Vegas, I figure that's like a permission note for now until whenever we go somewhere.
I mean, yeah.
We don't need a re-permission. We just use that hall passes there. We just use that. I'm like, well, you did say 13 years ago that we could go away. So
just keeping it in the bank.
Keeping it in the bank.
Documentary evidence. It's all lined up.
That's right. That's the lawyer in you coming out. So you'd be very happy because World Eaters were announced, and for some reason you've got a bit of a thing for World Eaters.
I do, and I don't know why, but...
Because you've already done Death Guard, I thought... I know they're obviously a very different Traitor Legion, but Traitor Legion be Traitor Legion in. Have you got a bit of a Chaos love in you because you've turned all your Imperial Knights to Chaos Knights?
You know what? I think I do. I think
you do.
I like Chaos, and I like just the entire concept behind them, and the some of the motivations like behind the different legions, because it's not always just like your standard Imperial. Well, we've got to do it for the Emperor.
Yes.
Proper fanaticism, but also it's not. You don't have to have your Chaos Space Marines as just like hyper. We're just gonna do evil because we're super bad guys.
Yeah,
I hate. There's
those.
A lot of grey scope in the kind of Chaos Space Marines and the Renegade chapters and the Traitor Legions. So, yeah,
got a lot more story to them, I guess, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I think certainly aesthetically, they're, when you think Warhammer, the kind of spikes and chains and oil and blood comes from them, and certainly in the new models that they've announced look very, very old school Blanchitsu 40k.
Yeah. So there's, I think they've previewed 4.
There's
4 units.
There's the normal Roid lads, the big Roid lads, the little Roid lads, and then was a Roid lad on a Roid horse.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
We really need to start making t-shirts, because Roid lad on Roid horse has legs to it. It both serves the Warhammer market and the Jimbro market.
And we are nothing if not Warhammer Jimbros.
Nothing. That's what I stake my whole identity on. Not a husband or a father, a Warhammer Jimbro till I die.
That is it. Yeah, so 4 different units. We've got the 8-bound, which are, well, they look like very angry boys.
They've got like the kind of the butchers and ales things going on, haven't they?
Yeah, so like they're essentially Khorne berserkers who have had the souls of 8 Khorne demons pushed into them.
Oh my days!
And they either devolve into a spawn or fight
Roid
it
up.
out and become these 8-bound.
I'm with you.
And then if their personality actually dominates the demons, they kind of get like blended together, and that's when they become the exalted 8-bound, which were the other type of unit that seem to have got like a lot more mutations and
Yeah, the big Roid lads.
yeah, so they're
They're
like,
the ones that like have like part demonic feet and stuff, aren't they?
yeah, and they've got literally like the like chain. I think one of them's got like chain fists, like literally growing out of his hand and stuff.
I saw one youth and his hand was a circular saw.
Yeah.
Which was incredible. As someone who's cut his hand with a circular saw, I can tell you they are very efficient at slicing things.
It'll be interesting to see what their rules are going to be, because I think they said on the stream that the Exalted 8-bound are going to be one of the best combat units in the game.
I mean, they should be.
Mm.
The World Eaters, who are the Combat Legion, and their combat boys should out-combat more or less anyone, and anyone who's fought with 8 demons should be pretty tasty.
I think so. And they should be, because I think the current White Dwarf rules for Khorne berserkers, I mean, they're pretty roided up. I think they've got on base like 5 attacks each.
Wow.
With strength 6 on the charge, AP 1 or 2, chain axes. So if that kind of trend follows over into the actual codex, these boys should be shredded.
Yeah. It's just going well.
It's getting in.
Yeah,
like any combat army.
Yeah, I mean, your opponent in a lot of the scenarios in 9th edition really only have turn 1, maybe 2 to get you though before you're in.
Mm.
And potentially they're going to have things that speed them up into getting in.
Yeah.
Maybe something where they can do a advance and then a charge at the end. Maybe it's something like the Kroot and they can have a move at the start of the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would think they're going to have something to help them get in. And then that's going to be horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, they're looking tasty. I really like those models.
I quite like the Jackals as well, the little wannabe Roid lads.
Yeah, I did. You know what? I did wonder what they were going to do, because if it was going to follow the same sort of concept as they've done with Death Guard and Thousand Suns, there was going to be that sort of like cheap cultist style unit.
Yeah.
It's got like the Poxwalkers and the Sangors. I did wonder what they were going to do.
Well, it's nice rather than just using one generic Chaos Cultist unit that everyone has to use.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own flavour. And these guys look splendid. They really fit the aesthetic.
Yeah, because it's all like, none of them have got ranged weapons. It's all close combat weapons.
Yeah. They all look a bit gimpy.
Yeah, they've all got creepy masks on, haven't they?
Right up your alley.
Yeah.
I might go as one of them for Halloween next year.
That might get me a little too excited. You probably shouldn't.
Have to make sure you're chained down somewhere.
Get me even more excited.
I did think as well they'd make a good models for Necromunda.
Yes.
If you want to do a Necromunda gang, then I think those models work perfectly with the aesthetic of Necromunda.
Yeah, they do. And kind of like mix and matching them with other types of Chaos Cultists, because in Necromunda there are rules for a Chaos Cults gang.
Of course, yeah. I really need to pull my finger out on Necromunda. I think I talked about it on episode 1 or 2, which was about 4 months ago or more, and I've still not done anything with it.
It's just a lot going on. It's a lot of games, a lot of life, and
there's been a lot of life this year, and there'll be a lot for us next year. It's been a massive couple of years for us as a group. Look at good things, which is nice, because usually it's been ass things, not ass things like kinky. I guess the thing is that I know I'm going to get involved in a new game. It was going to be Necromunda, but now that we've found Battlefleet Gothic on Etsy, if I can get someone else other than me to get a fleet going, then I'll go Battlefleet Gothic. I don't want to start learning Necromunda and then someone gets a fleet and I'll be like, God damn. Yeah.
I mean, Battlefleet Gothic could be cool, especially with them bringing out boarding actions as well. It all just kind of like links.
And those models are the... I mean, I don't know what the legality of it is, though. These people that are printing Battlefleet Gothic models, I don't know. Is it? I don't know. Is it legal? Is it legal? Might be legal to make them. Is it legal to make them and sell them? Because GW aren't making them or selling them anymore.
No.
But obviously, it is theirs. What's theirs? Whoever made whatever the file is must have been painstaking.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think maybe because they don't make them anymore. I guess it's not. Maybe it's not a breach of copyright because they're not copying something that exists.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm not sure. But I mean, whatever the reason, GW doesn't seem to, on the surface, care about going against anyone who's...
And they are very keen on protecting their IP, which would make me think that it's that either it is or GW don't care.
Yeah.
Either way is all right. I would buy them from GW if GW sold them.
That's probably it, because it's not directly competing with their interests.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily care. But if they decided to bring Battlefleet Gothic back...
But I think if they bring them back, they'd probably do different scopes.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't think they're going to bring them back in the next 5 years.
No.
Next big thing's got to be Warhammer Fantasy, and we know that's not coming at the very earliest, it's going to be December 2023. Very earliest, but could well be longer than that.
Yeah.
So I don't see Battlefleet Gothic coming out anytime soon.
No.
But yeah, again, I didn't think the prices were that bad.
No. Yeah, look decent.
£10 to £20 a ship. When you think of how much models are, you don't need that many ships to get to your points, and then away you go.
Yeah, and I say it would be good to just kind of have like a lads' weekend where you do your space battle and then you have boarding action and then you do your fighting down on the planet.
Is that you officially saying you're going to get a fleet?
I mean, never say never. I need to have a proper look at it because I had a quick skim and it looked cool. But yeah, it definitely.
What does it depend on?
I don't actually know what you need to get a fleet, I suppose. So I mean, I had the rules at some point. I'll have to dig them back out and see what you actually... Because I have no idea how much...
I know you can play it at different points values. And yeah, go from there. But you're not going to have a chance to look at that anytime soon, are you? So maybe I will learn Necromunda. Necromunda, I'll do a Leagues of Votan army. I'll do one or the other, or maybe both. Leagues of Votan, got the book, not as bad as everyone's making out. We'll do a deep dive on that in another pod, but not so bad.
Yeah. And the last World Eaters dude, the Lord on Juggernaut, who kind of previously previewed Lord Invocatus, who's like a named character on Juggernaut.
Okay.
And you can basically make him as a generic Lord.
Okay.
With a different weapon and head options. Essentially, Lord Invocatus looked like he had like a demonic head and a big off axe. And you can make a generic version with like a plasma pistol and a chainsword.
I like his horse that looks like a bull.
Yeah.
Like a bull and a dog put together with the best parts of both. And have we got a release date for the World Eaters yet?
Not specifically. I mean, they've said previously it'll be winter. Probably not going to be before Christmas at this rate.
It's looking nice as early 2023.
Yeah.
So if that in combo with winter, Jan or Feb. Probably Jan, because I don't think there's any other 40k things. Depends when boarding actions come out, the Arc of Omen.
True.
I thought that might have come out now, ready for Christmas. Because people are already doing the Christmas shopping. Maybe they don't want to deflect attention from the battle forces.
Maybe. That is true. They do like the battle forces.
So then after World Eaters, we got bloody Beastmen.
Yeah.
Getting a new book. I don't think they've not had anything since Age of Sigmar was created, have they?
Model-wise, no, I don't think they have.
And I don't think they've had any, other than the first book, I don't think they've had any
No, I don't think
updates
so.
of books, and we're now well into 3rd edition AOS.
So yeah, they're getting a new book with all the shininess that's going to entail. And
I'm hoping it gives them a lot of good new rules, because Beastmen have had a rough deal for quite a long time.
Yeah.
They've not been competitive in Age of Sigmar for the longest time. I profess I was a little disappointed. First off, it's they're only getting one new model.
Yeah.
Because for how long it's been since they've had new models, I really felt like they deserved some more.
Yeah, they should have had the Soulblight treatment and had a big refresh, because kind of like a lot of their models are from the old fantasy sculpts, so they're on that slightly smaller scale. They're designed to
be rank up so they're
together
more
and stuff,
static.
yeah.
Which does kind of lead me to also the Beastman Lord, for me, a little disappointing.
Yeah.
It looks in, what's the bloody word? Pose, like Warhammer Fantasy again.
Yeah.
It's not very dynamic at all. There's not much going on with the base. They could have had him one foot on something that is murdered. Could have had more going on the base. They could have had something more going on with the arms. It looks very Warhammer Fantasy pose to me.
It's true, actually, because they do quite like to put their character models on like pre-made scenic bases, don't they?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like he might have been originally designed as like a sergeant model. And
yeah. And then just like, stuff it. And even with his arms, it doesn't look like his... I know none of them move, but it's not captured the movement of thrusting that axe in the air. It looks like he's just holding it in the air, not that he's thrusting it in. Exaltation, to me. Nice model. I like the kind of combination of fur to armour to skin.
Yes.
The pose, considering that's the only model they're getting, I thought was a little disappointing.
Yeah. Especially compared to kind of some of the other character models.
Compared to some of the other things they've done. I mean, look at Blooming Teclis.
Yeah.
Not that I particularly am a massive fan of that pyjama tart, but it's very much in a fruity pose, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not a big fan. No, it's not bad. It's not the model's bad. It's just, it feels like the amount of effort hasn't gone into him that has gone into other models.
Yeah.
And considering they're only getting one model, really, it needs to bang, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they definitely could have done with a bit more.
I think for all of that, Beastmen players are going to be happy just to have a book which hopefully brings them in line and makes them competitive. And it'd be nice to see more Beastmen armies out there, because I haven't seen one in the longest time.
No, and they are a cool army.
Yeah, the lore and stuff for them is cool, and the aesthetic for them isn't really like anything else.
Yeah,
they got done dirty that Kragnos wasn't for them.
I know.
The big massive Beastman model wasn't for them, which we've said before, but I think Beastmen players will be happy, although that rule the preview isn't like lighting me on fire.
No.
It's not bad. I'd want to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons for Beasts of Chaos units within 12 inches, but I don't know. It's not amazing. Hopefully there's more rules that they're not showing off the good stuff.
No, they'll definitely have some wild and wacky stuff to do with like the Herdstone.
You tempted by a Beastman army?
I don't think I am.
Oh, you much of a toss about Age of Sigmar at all at the minute, do you?
Well,
we're getting into the groove now. We're out of the groove.
I know. But if I was, not Beastman. I think because they just need that refresh. Yeah.
They need the bloody twig treatment.
Yeah.
The twig treatment. Something you get at a spot. Then there's Gleam Spike Gitz, who have had plenty of updates throughout Age of Sigmar. So I was a bit surprised that they're getting one. Again, they're getting a new unit, and I wonder if that's just going to be the case now with Age of Sigmar, new book, and new unit. A lot of the time. Not a bad unit. Nothing. Again, not brilliant. The wolves again look like they've been made to rack up like the old wolves from the old vampire counts.
Yeah.
Even the one, like the second picture where you've got the wolf that's on its two front legs. The pose doesn't look right. It doesn't look like it's just landed on those front legs. You've not got the sign of movement, and there's a disconnect between what looks like the movement of the horse and then the goblin.
Yeah.
Like the goblin's just like plonked on top like he's sitting on just a static stool or something.
Yeah.
Not bad models, but when you're only doing one box for a book refresh, it should really be something decent. And it would be nice if it was, in fact, not just for them, but for Beastmen, a new unit altogether.
Yeah. Something
entirely new and fresh to get excited about.
Well, I thought it's a weird choice, this unit. I get that it kind of harkens back to the old Orcs and Goblins style, but really it doesn't match the aesthetic for Gloom Spike Gitz.
No.
Like, they've got the little spider contingent, but predominantly it is like the black robes,
Yeah, yeah.
high on mushrooms, riding squigs,
Yeah.
going nuts. And then, like these guys, they're not even got the same sort of aesthetic for the
clothes
goblin.
and like the clothes and armor combo doesn't look like Gloomspite Gitz.
No, and because it's just one unit, I don't see how that's gonna aesthetically and thematically fit into a Gloomspite Gitz army.
No, it's going to look like you've just pulled a unit from an older edition of the book and put it in. And I'm not sure if rules-wise they're going to give you enough difference from Spider Cavalry.
So yeah,
certainly not aesthetically. Aesthetically, not as exciting as Spider Cavalry.
Yeah, so.
But what was interesting is when you get to the bottom of the roadmap for Battle Tombs, because considering we're getting Slaves to Darkness and Beastie Beastmen in winter, but then in spring, 2 new Chaos Battle Tombs. Because Chaos and Beastmen are already gone, that would suggest Skaven?
Skaven have had theirs.
Yeah, so like who?
It's going to be either... No, Tzinch have had theirs, haven't they? So it's got to be, unless it's going to be something new, it's got to be Khorne and Slaanesh. So they're the only ones left, I think. They haven't had
Slaanesh has one, don't they?
They've not had one in this edition. They had one just before the new edition, I think.
Maybe it is. Hopefully it's something new. That would be very exciting. But I don't think it will be.
No.
Then we've got just one Order one.
Yeah. 2.
That'll probably be the bloody Lumineth again. Because it's been about 3 seconds since they had a new book, so they must be about due.
I'm trying to think what Order factions not had theirs yet.
Well, I think the Summer, because they're only showing one, which is Order, I think Summer will be Empire.
Yeah, it's got to be Cities, yeah. But
Fire Slayers.
They've had theirs.
Ideneth.
They've had theirs. Could be Seraphon. Could be...
I thought Seraphon had one not that long ago.
That was last edition.
Perception of Time.
Towards the end of last edition.
What about the Flying Dwarfs?
Yeah, I think Caradron and Seraphon are still on their old book, so it could be...
I'm going to say Caradron.
Those.
So Caradron, Khorne, Slaanesh, 2 Death Armies.
Which is probably... In fact, I think there's only 2 left. Flesh Eaters and Bone Reapers. I suppose Soulbite, but they were literally the last codex before Edition 3.
True say.
So I would be surprised if it was them, to be honest. But yeah, otherwise the only options left are Bone Reapers and Flesh Eaters.
When was the Ghosties? Was that quite recent?
That was... It was this edition. It was one of the first ones after Orcs and Stormcasts.
Fair cop. Then we've got Warhammer Underworlds Gnarlwood. Not easy to say. I don't know anything about Warhammer Underworlds. I've never even played it, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think the model looks tight, though.
They are quite a quirky little warband, aren't they?
The models look sick.
Like, that's really what
that looks like Gloomspite Gitz.
Yeah.
The models are incredible. The one that's got the squig on the end of a rod.
The squig lance.
Yeah.
Squig on a stick, yeah.
Squig on a stick, that's incredible. That's proper goblin. Is one of them trying to blow a squig, out of a blowgun, like a blow dart gun?
Yeah. And then there's like
one riding a squig, one firing himself out of a catapult that the other one's holding.
I like the one riding the squig. It's kind of got a lance, but it's got a big hammer on the end of it. That's just not a weapon you can actually use.
What are you talking about? That's the best of both worlds. Don't know if you need a lance or a hammer. Take both. I think they're incredible. I mean, I've not got a horse in the race from these previews, but they might be my favourite of the new models.
They are
that have
very
been previewed.
Good.
They're very atmospheric.
They were very popular on the stream.
I mean, do you know how well played is Underworlds? Because it seems like the main AOS army's got the raw end of the deal. And the Underworlds and Gnarlwood's got the better models, when I would have thought Gloomspite is more widely played in AOS.
You know what? I'm not entirely sure how popular. I do know...
Is it a card game? Is Underworlds a card game?
There are cards involved. Yeah.
And dice?
Yeah.
And a board?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It is, yeah. It is very different to Warhammer. It's kind of like it is kind of more like board game style. Okay. So you kind of got like a little warband on like a little hexagonal board. You have like a deck of cards that you generate your objectives from, and also kind of like powers and upgrades and things. So it kind of brings in a bit of like a Magic the Gathering style, because it's kind of like that action reaction. So like you're going to play an upgrade on one of your guys, and then your opponent gets to react and
you just use one warband.
Essentially, yes. Yeah,
so is it 1 versus 1, or can you play with many people?
I think it is traditionally 1 versus 1, but I think there are rules in the main book for bigger games.
And are you playing against each other or the game?
Against each other.
Gotcha.
So it's whoever gets the most glory points, which is their version of victory points at the end.
Fair enough.
But I think because there's such small warbands, just the effort that gets put into creating them is just like all of the warbands look phenomenal.
Amazing. But you think that effort, say considering it's small warbands, but then considering they're only releasing one unit model, with a new army, and AOS, I would imagine, is the second biggest earning game for them. That they'd put their effort into that. Unless they're trying to get more uptake in Underworld, so they keep juicing the units to make them look pretty.
Maybe. Not sure. I know they do a monthly tournament at Bugman's.
Do they? Did you go? Have you been?
I haven't been there. I don't know it well enough. I've literally played it a handful of times casually with the missus. Never
mind that. You need to learn Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah, I've got enough on my plate.
I've got you for Secret Santa having Battlefleet Gothic for Christmas. If you don't learn it, I'm going to defecate on your doorstep. And then we've got the Necromunda, which I love. I mean, not the game, because I don't know it. I like the idea of it. The new models, though, I love. They're so good.
They are cool. Yeah.
They're so 40k, like traditional 40k in the way they look. Because we only kind of see the main 40k game, which is big armies coming together. So relatively speaking, all the resources have been spent on those armies. But this is just how the everyday denizens of the Imperium get about. And actually, life in the Empire is pretty poor.
Yes, yeah.
And the majority of the people are very poor.
I know you've like the Cawdor gangs, even by like on the hive standards, are supposed to be like really poor.
Yeah, like the peasants.
Yeah, but and it kind of shows in these one, because it's all just like
cobbled together, held together by bandages and stuff. They don't really look like they're the right size for the model on top. It looks like they're just balancing on there. And they're a bit of a throwback to happier times when you see the artwork of what they were meant to look like when they're all funky and fresh.
Yeah. It is almost like these, like, I think House Cawdor are quite like religious nut jobs. Kind of like somebody's told them, or they've read about, or been given a sermon about sentinels in the Emperor's holy armies, and they've tried to build one.
Yes.
And absolutely failed. But they think they've done a good job.
When you look at the models, they give much more of a sense of movement than those Wolf Riders did. When you see the ganger on top of the machine, they are involved in the same movement that the machine's doing. They're not just plonked on top. Yeah. So obviously they can sculpt it. Bloody give it to the Gloomspite Gitz. I'm a big fan of this. I think it looks wonderful. I'm like, well, if you can do it, put it into some of your main games. I think they're wonderful. The idea of machines just to help you walk, very 40k like, because of the vast distances that you have to go. But there's no comfort involved. They literally will just get you where you need to go if they hold themselves together, and that's it.
Yeah, and there's no protection when they're out there in the wastes.
No protection from the elements, and no protection from the elements.
No,
I mean, you can see the teeth on that guy in the artwork. Is not got a strong dem plan going on.
No,
I think they're ace. I mean, every time I see models for Necromunda, I'm like, I need to learn Necromunda. Need to get into Necromunda.
Yeah, they have some cracking stuff, don't they?
It's just stuff. I learn best learning games learning by playing.
Mm.
And unless I'm learning with someone else who's learning how to play, then not many people have the patience when they know how they play the game to give up an evening to help a noob like me. Then they mentioned Arcs of Omen, but we've gone into that at length before. When the actual Arcs of Omen book comes out, we'll do a deep dive. We've not got a release date for it yet, correct?
Yes, that is correct. We've not got a release date.
Do you think next year when World Eaters come?
Yeah, because there's going to be 2 books in winter, 2 books in spring, so yeah, probably. Because they'll do it online, not online, on the same time as boarding actions, because the first book is about boarding actions rules. So
yeah, Arcs of Omen has the boarding actions rules in them.
Curious what they're going to do with the other 3 books, though.
One's surely going to be some kind of Armageddon.
Maybe.
I think, for big games.
Yeah. It's just something interesting, because obviously they've said they've listened to kind of people don't want loads of extra rules and supplements in these books, and they're not going to do it. So what are they going to fill 3 books with?
Well, if it's different game types, like boarding actions, then that could be good. But other than boarding actions and Armageddon, I'm curious. They're the 2 obvious game types, which they have kind of had rules for in the past. And maybe they're going to fold their own Autocrim with it and have plain rules.
Maybe.
Because Aeronautica's kind of tanked a bit on it.
Yeah. Bless them.
Bless them. Should have just done Chuffing Battlefleet Gothic if they're going to do ships. Stop tarting about.
You think one of them could be?
No. Stop leading me on like that, because I already thought, and I thought, oh, that'd make sense. But no, they're never going to do Battlefleet Gothic. Someone at Games Workshop listens to this and despises me for some reason. Anything they say. Speaking of disappointment, Vashtor.
Ah, yeah.
You were so excited when you saw the silhouette because you thought they were doing Dark Mechanicum.
It all hinted at it. The kind of like little, when they did the little preview of like the silhouette, and they had the little like statements underneath talking about like the demons in the machine and stuff like that.
And even this guy's Demon Forge Master Vashtor.
But everything in the article and everything they've said just makes it sound like actually he's just going to be a new named Demon Prince character for Chaos Space Marines. I like, it's cool and the story's cool, but
compared to what you thought it was going to be,
I thought it was going to be a whole new army of horrific demon machine people.
GW, the Ultimate Edgelords.
Yeah.
I feel like it's ruined the model for you. Because the model is absolutely marvellous.
It is, and again,
but it's just compared to what you were hoping for. Utterly disappointing.
It is very good, and it is again very Blanchitsu.
Yes,
a lot of the 40k stuff lately does seem to be
killing it.
Really taking inspiration from the old stuff and the old artwork.
And it's got the proper kind of chaos style legs where they bend back and have the hoofs. Wings of blades, scorpion
everything's
tail.
bladed, everything's sharp and deadly. There's nothing on there that's aesthetic. It's all...
That is just a brilliant model. There's not one bit of it that I don't like.
I wish he had an army to back him up.
He does, demons. New year, new army.
Nah.
That's it from the preview.
It is. I mean, all in all, good stuff, really. I know it's a bit disappointing for Age of Sigmar.
What's new?
But
sounds like we're going to keep being disappointed till summer when Empire come out with a big refresh, bringing in Witch Hunters more back into the fore, in my opinion, my prediction.
Yeah, definitely, because I mean a lot of like Black Library books that they're doing, and a lot of kind of like lore and order codexes and stuff. It's all talking about the Order of Vizier,
yes.
Who are various style of witch hunters, vampire hunters.
When we do our next one, which might be the last one before Christmas, I think we should do our predictions for 2023.
Ooh,
that'd be pretty good. What we think will come and what we hope will come.
Yeah.
Everything I say will prove false. We've got a little bit of time left on this one, before I have to go and cook burgers for the kids. Burger. What have you been up to in the hobby? Anything you've been up to? I know you've been
Oh.
trying World Eater Colour Schemes.
Yes, I gave a punt at World Out Colour Scheme, just using an old Chaos Space Marine model. Just getting ready for when they come out next year.
Are you painting blood on them? Are you going to try and do a blood effect? Or keep them clean?
I think, so I've done one that is cleanish. And I like how that looks. And I'm going to try some weathering. I'm just not sure. Because the armour's kind of shiny metallic red. I'm not really sure if blood effect's just going to get lost.
Yeah.
So I might try a little bit of blood effect on the weapons. But I'm also conscious of it just being a whole lot of red. So I kind of have to see if the blood effect actually stands out enough.
And the worst thing is, because the blood effect goes on at the end, you paint all the model and then don't like the blood effect, you've undone all your work. You've got to go give it an acid bath or whatever you do.
Which is exactly one of the reasons why I'm trying this now on small models. So I'm thinking if I do some weathering, I'm going to look at kind of like bits of maybe like corrosion and maybe kind of what the thing's about is kind of like doing some like reddish brown washes and kind of like stippling that onto the weapons and stuff, so it looks, try and get it to look more like dried blood as opposed to a lot of fresh blood. That might help, because just slapping kind of blood for the blood god on the model that's mostly metallic red.
That'd be my paint strategy. I'd get a bunch of them, put them in a mug, and just spray the model and dip it in. Done.
I mean, it'd be thematic.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'll tell people, not because I can't paint. Mind you, my Eldar look all right. My avatar's decent, right, especially for me.
Oh, good job.
Kind of just clip that part and play it back to myself time and time again.
Don't get compliments very often.
Certainly not when it comes to painting. I don't get many when it comes to gaming, and I really should. I'm incredible.
Everyone's too busy crying.
Compared to you lot.
Well, speaking of gaming, I just absolutely got embarrassed against Robin.
I didn't know if you were going to bring this up or not. It was...
It really wasn't. It was I think it was probably my worst game ever.
I think it might be the worst game that we've had in the 4 campaigns that we've run.
It was horrific.
It took you longer to drive there than it took you to play the game.
Yeah.
You got tabled that quickly. The pizzas you ordered before the game hadn't even arrived.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
It was bad. I got tabled turn 2. Really, I lost turn 1, but I didn't want to be too salty. I thought I'd try and give it a good show.
Jesus.
It went horrific.
And this is without him using the new book.
I know. Yeah, I was using the old book. It just went terribly. You know, kind of like turn 1. I got first turn, so I was like, right, I need to get in quick. Sent a bunch of stuff up because it was going to destroy stuff with shooting. I can't hide knights, so
that's the big problem.
I got to get in. So I was set up for quite a few turn 2 charges. So it's not going to destroy everything. I'm all right. And with all my shooting, didn't even kill a single tank, which was embarrassing. I had a bit of a whiffer on the shooting. And then his Shadow Sword absolutely obliterated my Abominant, which is the big psychic one. A few of his Leman Russes obliterated my big combat knight, the Rampager, despite him being upgraded for a 4-up invuln save. And then the other Leman Russes destroyed another little close combat knight. So at that point I had 1 big shooting knight, 1 little close combat knight, and 2 little balanced. So with a Gatling gun and a chainsword.
Incredible.
So just obliterated all the assets turn 1. So turn 2, I was like, right, I need to try and do some damage. And then the bloody shooting knight decides to turn it up and just obliterate one of his tanks in one go. I was like, oh my god.
Where were you last turn?
I know. My little close combat knight had like a couple of wounds left. He'd just managed to survive the shooting. I'm just going to get him in, try and destroy a few tanks. Just get some victory points. And then, obviously, he overwatched, understandably. He had either a stratagem or an upgrade, so he hit on 5s. But obviously, he's still got his bloody 6s auto wound. So anything he hit on Overwatch, auto wound. So he killed me on Overwatch. It's like, oh, that's not what I need. So yeah, destroyed one of my units in my own turn. So then he just, in his turn, just mopped up.
Unbelievable.
And then we played out the rest, and we kind of like went through what he'd do to max out his victory points. And it ended something like 90-25.
Yeah, you're really not doing anyone any favours in the campaign, are you? Because you've buoyed his stats massively on victory points. Because he's got, what, 2 wins?
Yes, because he won his first game.
And now with the absolute poor show you put on,
I know.
With his combo victory points, he might have overtaken me. Naturally, I've won both my games, but my people at least bothered to try and play, which limited my victory points.
Oh, it was so embarrassing. I don't even want to play again.
Well, that's why I thought you might decide to do a Demon Army with Odvashtor in charge.
Yeah.
I would have thought that, you remember when you played Eldar for one day and then binned off the entire army because of how poorly you did? That what happened might have just turned you off Chaos Knights and you'd be clipping all of the spikes off them and turning them back into Imperial Knights again. No wonder you're keen to get World Eaters started.
Oh, God, I've never been so embarrassed. I'm glad we weren't like at the Bows and Swords or Warhammer World or something, because that's too embarrassing to be witnessed.
I wish I'd have been there. But I'm just happy that I got to hear about it. That brought me a good amount of joy. I played against Tyranids.
Yes.
Who, after the nerfing, are not as terrifying as they once were. Still good, but they were crazy. The nerfing has brought them in line rather than made them a sub-army.
Yeah, I wondered how much of an impact it'd have, because he runs the Leviathan, doesn't he, where it's kind of like the transhuman type effects.
He didn't have transhuman.
Was he running that one? Or has he changed his
The transhuman rule might have changed, I don't know. He wasn't running transhuman, though.
Before, he was running the one where he, all of his monsters and synapse creatures could only be wounded on 4 up, and his little ones could only be wounded on 3 up.
I think the rule for that might have changed.
I know it changed so that now it's only monsters get the 4 up. His synapse creatures don't. So, like,
most of his army
stuff.
is monsters, though.
But yeah, if he wasn't using that, he might have been using a different sub-faction. Interesting.
I don't know. They seemed more balanced. They were. I'm not sure how good they were, because I turned up thinking we were playing an entirely different scenario. So I'd made an army for the wrong scenario.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until part way through my turn 1 that I realised, when I tried to claim some victory points for an objective that didn't exist in this scenario, that I was like, oh, balls.
Oh dear.
So my turn 1 was an absolute nightmare in terms of earning victory points. And turn 2, I was still trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
So the first 2 turns, I just, in terms of victory points, did a very bad show.
Yeah.
Very bad show. Very cross with myself. I finished all right in the end, but I ended on 86 victory points, maybe.
Still decent.
Which isn't bad, but if I'd have had those extra 2 turns, I'd have got at least another 8, which would have kept me above Robin.
Yeah.
So I'd have got 94. I just didn't realise what the hell I was doing. I absolutely pooed the bed. And the army wasn't really built, because we're not doing locked lists, the army wasn't built for that scenario.
Yeah.
So I kind of really had to scramble and just fall back on some tried and tested plays for me. So Avatar, absolute babe again. Every game I've played he's done better than I feel he should have done, but he's on some kind of hot streak, so I'm just going to keep him in there.
Yeah. Went
down one flank with the Wraith Lord and just chopped up everything in his way. Took very few wounds in return. Combination of Invuln save, Strands of Fate, and his Molten Body reducing damage.
Yeah, he's decent.
Wraith Lord hardly touched. First turn, our 5 Prism Link fired his Hive Tyrant, which was giving all of his army something. I can't remember what it all was, but
it was
giving all of his army something, so I'm like, well, that can die.
Got those imperatives, hasn't it, that he activates each turn, and since the balanced data slate a few ones back, now you can only do it if your warlord's on the field, and your hive tyrant has to be your warlord.
Yes.
Because it's over 10 wounds, unless you've got tyrant guard with it, it can't be bodyguarded.
Look at
so it's quite an easy target against the right army. If you've got some dedicated shooting, it's quite easy to just wipe out that whole section of his army ability.
Yeah. So I took him out first turn while I was trying to figure out what was going on with objectives. Didn't really kill much of anything else. Got in some pretty bad positions in a few places across the board. One flank was falling apart. The centre was struggling. And then turn 2, I managed to link fire his unit of 6 zone thropes in one turn and nailed all of them. Trading all my strands of fate to do it. But that then made a big hole in the middle where I had 2 Farseers, and without all the zone thropes, it meant I now owned the psychic phase.
Yes.
And on the other flank, which had been contested, the Avatar cranked it up and just took that flank.
Yeah.
And he started having to divert from the flank he was winning on to try and deal with me, because the Avatar was about to just run into his backfield.
Yeah. Which
meant that the flank he was taking, I didn't own, but it was just kind of a no man's land with not much going on. And from there on, I knew what scenario I was playing, so it was easy to
back in the
up.
game. Yeah.
I got out the hive tyrant, got out the zone thropes, the Avatar went through a monster, and then things were looking cushy again. Didn't realise, and it's a rule that lots of people maybe don't quite get, because it's the first time it's really come up in our campaign. When you do a psychic action, like the secondary objective, warp ritual or psychic interrogation, that is your psychic phase for your psyker. You can't do the psychic action as a psychic power and then do other powers.
Yeah.
Even if you can normally cast multiple powers, it takes up your entire psychic phase.
Yeah.
So I did warp ritual with Eldrad. It was my more powerful of my 2 psychs, and then couldn't do anything with him for a turn.
Yeah.
I think other people maybe don't realise that, because none of us really did until recently, so we can't be the only ones that didn't.
Yeah, and also something I'd not realised, it was only kind of when I was like sorting out properly my knights list to try and like open up psychic secondaries. You can't do psychic actions with a non-character psyker.
What do you mean?
So like units of like
Grey Knights,
Rubik Marines and Grey Knights and stuff.
Yeah.
Can't do like mental interrogation or warp ritual.
Yep.
Unless they've got a character keyword.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And that's worth people knowing, especially if you're about to go up against a Grey Knights player and they try and pull that with one of their squad, and you're like, no, you can't do it, Doc, only characters.
And Grey Knights have got their own special objective that they can do, but the general ones they wouldn't be able to do. Because I was upgrading one of my little knights to be a psyker, and then it was then that I realised, when I looked into it, that I had to actually essentially pay command points to make him a character so that I could actually do the psychic actions with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's something that can be... It doesn't apply to a lot of armies, because not a lot of armies have got psychers that aren't characters. But if it comes up, it can be quite big.
And another rule that I can't remember if we mentioned, not one been getting wrong because I've not used flyers before, but worth clarifying. If a flyer is behind a building, you can shoot it.
Yeah.
Even though you can shoot and see it cannot see and shoot you.
Yeah.
So worth keeping in mind if you're using flyers or playing against flyers.
Yes.
Someone can be the other side of a building and shoot at you, and you can't shoot back because the building gets in the way of your line of sight, even though ostensibly it's flying however many thousands of feet above the building. In table terms, the line of sight's blocked, so you've got to be very careful, and I think that's probably a mark against flyers. Especially for like tournament games like the one you went to, where they use a lot of scenery.
Much terrain,
most of the time, you're not going to be able to shoot anything.
No.
Or certainly not the things you want to. So they'll stay in my box until we play another 4,000 point game aside, I think.
Oh.
So that's about all we've got time for because I'm on dad duty.
Yeah.
And I think the next one might be our last one for this year.
Maybe.
Because this will come out on Monday. Yeah, it'll probably be the last one for the year. So we'll do a bit of a end of year special.
God, that's terrifying.
I know, where's it gone? It's crazy. So we'll be filming that not too long, but it's going to be a little while until you hear it. Should be a good one though, so do tune in, and it gives you a chance to escape from the family and lock yourself in the bathroom for a couple of hours. So until then, it's goodbye from me.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao.